Artificial intelligence has this incredible promise, right? It's set to completely transform our world, everything from medicine to transportation. But, and it's a big but, these incredibly powerful systems also bring some really unique and complex risks. We're talking about risks that can amplify bias or cause harm in ways we've just never seen before. So it's pretty obvious we need a new kind of rule book, one that can actually keep up with this technology. And today, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with why AI risk is just so different. Then we'll introduce the new rulebook designed to handle it. After that, we'll get into what good AI even looks like, walk through the actual process for building it, and finally, we'll wrap it all up by talking about why this stuff matters to every single one of us.
Okay, so if we want to manage the risks of AI, we first have to get our heads around why it isn't just another app on your phone. Nope, it is a fundamentally different beast. Think about traditional software for a second. The risk usually comes from static code that just sits there. If something breaks, an engineer can almost always trace it back to a specific line and fix it. Pretty predictable, right? But AI? It's a whole different ballgame. Its risks come from the data it learns from, and that data is constantly shifting and changing. This means AI systems can fail in these emergent, totally unpredictable ways. They are, as the source material puts it, inherently socio-technical, meaning their risks are a messy combination of the technology itself and human society. So how in the world do we handle these new complicated risks? Well, the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, you probably know them as NIST, got a bunch of experts together from both the public and private sectors. And what they came up with is the AI Risk Management Framework. At its heart, this framework is a guide. It's really important to know it's not a set of rigid, top-down laws. Instead, it's a voluntary resource. Any organization, whether they're a huge corporation or a tiny startup, can adapt it to fit their needs. And the whole goal is to build trustworthy AI while making sure we preserve fundamental human rights. And you can really see that philosophy in how the framework was put together. It was built on consensus. It's written in plain English, not jargon, and it focuses on the outcomes, what you're trying to achieve, not just a strict checklist of how-tos. And maybe most importantly, it's a living document. It's designed to evolve right alongside this crazy fast technology. But hold on. Before we can even start to manage risk, we have to ask a bigger question. What are we even aiming for? Well, the framework gives us a really clear destination, building what it calls trustworthy AI. And here they are, the 7 key traits of a trustworthy AI system. You can think of these as the pillars of responsible AI. Now, getting them right isn't always easy. The source material points out that there are often trade-offs that have to be carefully balanced depending on what you're building. So let's break down what these pillars actually mean, starting with the very foundation. Everything, and I mean everything, starts here. If a system is invalid, meaning it actually does what it claims to do, and reliable, so it consistently gives you accurate results, then honestly, none of the other traits can really be achieved. This is the absolute bedrock of trustworthiness. Next up, we have the protective traits. This is all about being robust. A system has to be safe, making sure it doesn't cause any physical or even mental harm. And it has to be secure and resilient, which means it can defend itself from bad actors and also just gracefully handle things when the unexpected happens. Now, these next few traits are all about the system's impact on people. Is it fair? Does it actively manage harmful bias to treat everyone equitably? Does it protect our privacy and our dignity? And this one's huge. Can we actually understand it? See, explainability tells us how a system got to an answer, kind of like showing your work in math class. But interpretability, that goes a step further. It tells us why it made that decision in a way a human can actually make sense of and trust. And finally, we've got the trait that basically holds everything else together: accountability and transparency. Don't think of this as a separate pillar. Think of it more like the mortar that holds all the stones in place. It's what ensures that for every single one of those other characteristics, from fairness to safety, we have clear information about the system, and we know exactly who is responsible when things go right or when they go wrong. Okay, that makes sense, right? So we know what trustworthy AI is supposed to look like, but how do we actually build it? Well, the framework lays out a super practical 4-step process. Before we jump into those steps, the framework makes one thing crystal clear with this quote. That first function, govern, it isn't just step 1.
No, it's the foundation that supports absolutely everything else in the process. So here they are, the 4 core functions that really drive the whole process. Govern is about creating a culture of risk management. Map is about understanding the context and spotting potential risks. Measure is where you actually test and analyze those risks. And then manage is where you take action and do something about them. You can see how these functions create this continuous cycle, right? You govern the whole thing, embedding that risk management culture everywhere. You map out the territory, you measure what you find, and then you manage the journey based on that data, constantly feeding what you learn back into the system. It's an ongoing, living process. So let's bring this all together now. This framework, it's not just some dry technical document. It's a blueprint for building a future where we can actually trust the AI systems that are becoming a bigger and bigger part of our daily lives. And a really key part of that blueprint is realizing that this is a shared responsibility. The framework identifies all these different AI actors. And look, it's not just for the coders. It's the companies that deploy the AI, the people who actually use it, and even the communities who are just affected by its decisions. Everyone has a role to play here. This right here really drives home the framework's commitment to staying relevant. NIST has already put a formal review on the calendar for 2028, so this isn't some rulebook that's going to be carved in stone and collect dust. No way. It's designed to adapt and grow as AI technology continues its lightning-fast evolution.
So what are the big takeaways from all this? First, AI risk is a completely new animal. Second, the NIST framework gives us a flexible roadmap to navigate it. Third, the destination is trustworthy AI, and it's built on 7 key pillars. Fourth, the journey follows those 4 functions: govern, map, measure, and manage. And maybe the most important takeaway of all, we are all on this journey together. At the end of the day, this framework doesn't pretend to have all the answers. What it does do is give us a common language and a structured process so we can start asking the right questions. And it leaves us with the most important one of all. As this technology weaves itself deeper into our society, how do we, collectively, make sure the AI of tomorrow truly earns our trust?